All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages. How to stop worrying about what's fair. So, man, as a high achieving Christian guy, you may be really concerned about this, about earning, about what's fair, being upset when people seem to get what's not fair or seem to get more than you, or if your wife's done you wrong or she's not doing enough of her share around the house. Man, like it's easy for us to be in this mindset. And there's some things that underlie that. And we're going to get into those today. So, yeah, you really can stop worrying about it. And we're going to talk about how today. So, my name is Mike Frazier, MD. I'm a psychiatrist and marriage coach. I help high achieving Christian men have more intimate marriages. So, some wins from guys in the program. Guys are feeling less defensive. So a lot of times we feel attacked by our wives. We feel like they're critical. We get defensive. We try to explain ourselves. We go into the invalidation triple threat. So guys are stepping away from that. Guys are able to help their kids with their emotions. Man, this one's huge because a lot of us didn't really learn how to feel emotions, what to do with them, how to name them even. So we learn that in the program, and then we can start teaching our kids how to do that as well. Guys are getting weekend getaways with their wives, having fun, connection, and intimacy. Man, it's so cool to see that. Guys are learning to see and change negative patterns like the invalidation triple threat. Your wife says something, you tell her she's wrong for thinking that way, wrong for feeling that way. One of the big killers of intimacy in marriage. For me, I feel like I'm continuing to make progress on that blessing them that curse me, and thank you guys for your prayers for me on that. I appreciate that. Yeah, what I'm learning, the program, look, it works, right? Like rewiring your brain, identify the negative patterns, practicing new ones. It does work, but it's not enough. Like God needs to help you change your heart. And that's what I am really believing in and trying to talk to my guys about now. All of this helps, right? And the more we keep good things in our mind and the more we can help each other, that's great. But also God needs to do his work and shift our hearts. And that's something beyond what the program or anything else can do. So, yeah. And this week too, just got a new insight as I've been kind of working on this and being able to see, okay, yeah, it is better to bless them that curse me, do good to them that hate me, all of that, right? God showed me something else. So, a lot of us as guys, and that's what we're talking about today. So a lot of us guys, high achieving guys, we're focused on earning, right? Hard work, responsibility, showing up, right? Doing what you say you're going to do, right? And working hard to earn your living, that sort of thing. And those are good character traits, right? Like, I think God wants us to work hard. He says, 6 days you'll labor, 7th day you'll rest. And a lot of us, we've had success in our work and financial success and helping, blessing the lives of other people by what we're doing, which is great. But this often has a dark side to it. And this is where we can look down on people who don't work as hard as we do. Like this person, they're not hard workers. They don't follow through. They don't do what they're going to say they're going to do. Or like people that don't seem to earn what they get. Oh man, that's not fair. That person got this. I work harder. I'm smarter. I should be making more money than this person. That sort of thing. So it seems unfair, right? And then we can get angry. We're really worried about our idea of justice. Our idea of justice being people should get what they deserve, right? Financially or that sort of thing. So, for example, when my wife started her business, Hero Bands, she, was small, wasn't doing much, and then it started to grow. It started to grow really big, really fast. And she would say things to me like, I didn't even try. And man, that burned me up because I was like, come on, like I've been trying hard, right? In my business, trying to help guys, trying to make more money doing that. I'd done all kinds of other business attempts as well. But so I got really mad. Like I was angry that my wife's business was succeeding. Which caused problems in our marriage. And actually still, like, that's hurtful to her, and it makes sense. That would be hurtful to her that I resented her basically for being successful. But why? It came down to this idea of like fairness and justice. And I was really concerned about this idea that that's not fair. Like, you shouldn't be saying you're not working hard and having success. That's not fair. It shouldn't happen that way, right? Where really she, first of all, she was working hard, but also, God was blessing her with success, right? And I resented that. I was angry because I felt like I should have more success than her, really, is what it boiled down to. So was I happy? Was that a great way to live? No. And in fact, I was mad all the time and upset and frustrated. And was that good for her? No. In fact, she kind of worries about building her business now because I was such a, prick about it, basically. So, yeah, what happens is we get overly focused on hard work and achievement. We get this idea of like never being enough. No matter how much it wasn't enough. Somebody else was making more. That didn't seem fair, right? It's hard to accept wins for other people when you're in this mindset. Maybe you can appreciate if someone works really hard and achieves it. Okay, yeah, like that person probably worked harder than me, and so they deserve it. But it's almost impossible to accept wins for someone when you feel like they didn't work hard to achieve it or didn't work as hard as you. So there's two parables Jesus tells about this. I'm going to read both of them just because I think Jesus is a better teacher than me. So we're going to start with the parable of the prodigal son. So Jesus said, there's a man who had two sons. The younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of the property that's coming to me. And he divided his property between them. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took a journey to a far country, and there he squandered his property in reckless living. And when he had spent everything, a severe famine arose in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went. So this is where like people like I used to be, and I'm like starting to adjust, are like cheering. They're like, yes, like this guy got what he deserved. Finally, right? He wastes all that money. This is where he should be. He deserves to be in that pig pen, right? So he went and he hired himself out to one of the citizens of the country who sent him to the fields to feed pigs. And he was longing to be fed with the pods that the pigs ate. No one gave him anything. So again, like the high achieving guy, the guy that's focused on justice would be like, good, like that's what that guy deserves. But when he came to himself, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger? I will arise and go to my father. I'll say to him, Father, I've sinned against heaven and before you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion and ran and embraced him and kissed him. So, unfortunately, right, I feel like where my heart is right now, if my kid did this, like I gave him a bunch of money, he went out and blew it all, and then on stuff that was immoral, right, and wrong, and then came home, I don't know that I would be watching for him and like ready to run and embrace him, right? I think I'd be a little more like one of these other guys, and that's not great. That's not how I want to be. That's like, so if you guys are praying for me for the part about loving my enemies, right? This idea of like compassion and love and joy for people and celebration for people, whether they deserve it or not, right? But one of the books, again, Dallas really talks about God's justice being about meeting people in what they need, right? Versus what people earn, quote unquote, earn. So, yeah, the father said to his servants, bring out quickly the best robe, put it on him, put a ring on his hand, shoes on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead, he is alive again. He was lost and is found, and they begin to celebrate. So they're happy, right? They're enjoying it, they're having a good time. So now his older son was in the field, so he's out there working, right? Earning, working hard. Okay, so this is the guy I resonate with. And as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of his servants and he asked what these things meant. Hey, what's going on in there? And he said to him, your brother has come back, and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has received him back safe and sound. So the servant probably happy too. Hey, like it's good to have this guy back. He's safe. He came back to us. This is good. But he, the son, was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him. But he answered his father, look, these many years I've served you, and I never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this year's your son came, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him. Like, what the heck? Like, why is he getting this when I was here working this whole time? It's not fair, right? And the father said to him, son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad. For this your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found. So when I was looking through this the other night, what I saw was, what's God saying here? What God's saying is a couple things. Like, one, like, come be happy with us, first of all. Like, you're hurting yourself by being jealous of this. But also, like, hey, dude, everything that's mine is yours. Like, you've got a bunch of stuff already, right? So why worry about what I'm giving him? You know, and really just see all the thing that you do have, right? And let's celebrate together. Let's enjoy this moment. Okay. This focus on justice and earning, right, and jealousy and envy and being mad about stuff, it's not a very fun way to live, right? And that's what this parable to me is about, right? Then there's the parable of the workers in the vineyard. It says, for the kingdom of heaven, and again, the kingdom of heaven meaning, what life can be like if you want to live the way God wants you to live right now. The kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. He agreed to pay them a denarius for the day and sent them into his vineyard. So this is like the guys that get in there early and they're starting to work hard. About 9 in the morning, he went out and saw others standing in the marketplace doing nothing. He told them, you also go to work in my vineyard and I will pay you whatever is right. So they went. It's like, okay, yeah, like something's better than nothing, right? He went out again about noon, and 3 in the afternoon did the same thing. About 5 in the afternoon, he went out and found still others standing around. He asked them, why have you been standing here all day doing nothing? Because no one has hired us, they answered. He said to them, you also go and work in my vineyard. When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, call the workers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last ones hired and going on to the first. So, in this line, the guys that are there first, they're seeing these last guys. And the workers who were hired about 5 in the afternoon, so they worked like 1 hour, came and each received a denarius. So let's say for a day's work you make, I don't know, $1,000, right? And so these guys that worked, or like minimum wage in California, and I was like $20, which is kind of crazy, but that's like where it is right now. So if these guys work 10 hours, they'd say, so let's say it's like, okay, you get $200 for the day, right? So then these guys come in, they worked 1 hour. So the first guys are thinking, okay, these guys should get like $20, but the owner gives them $200, right? A full day's wage. So when those are fire first, they expect to receive more. So they're like, oh, well, if this guy got $1, then, if we do the multiplication there, I should get like, $400, right? They got, so I should get like, 10 times that. So, $2,000 for the day or something. So when they came who were hired first, they expected to receive more. But each one of them also received a denarius. When they received it, they began to grumble against the landowner. These who were hired last worked only 1 hour, they said, and you have made them equal to us, have borne the burden of the work and the heat of the day. It's not fair. This isn't fair, right? But he answered one of them, I'm not being unfair to you, friend. Didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Go, take your pay and go. I want to give the one who hired last the same as I gave you. Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money? Or are you envious because I'm generous? Okay. So, and when I read these, I was like, yeah, I am envious because you're generous, right? And that's not great, right? That's not great. It's not a happy way to live. It's kind of the bottom line. It's not an abundant way to live. And so yeah, that's been me. I've been envious because God is generous. So what do you do instead? What you can do instead is join with God in being generous. Okay. So just see things as his and as partners in giving with him. There's a quote from The Genius of Generosity. It's a plan in the Bible app. If you want to get that and look it up, it's super cool plan, short plan. It says, in his economy, good stewardship is by nature generous and joyful. It directs his resources extravagantly towards his purposes and for his people to deeply enjoy. So a lot of times us as high achieving guys, we kind of have a hard time celebrating. We have a hard time enjoying the things that God has given us. I live in a beautiful home. I have a beautiful wife, wonderful kids. And I spend a lot of time trying to get people to work, like get people to do their jobs around the house. I get a lot of time. I spend a lot of time working myself, trying to earn money, and I could definitely do more just enjoying. And more than that, partnering with God, right? Okay, look, he's actually given me a lot. And so how can I partner with him to use my time and my money, and not my money, but his money he's given me, right? And partner with him in doing that. And let's also remember, look, there's plenty and more than enough for everyone, including you, right? So at the end of the day, if God gives that person a day's wages, if God blesses my wife's business, does that hurt me? No. Like, I can rejoice with that. That's great, man. Look at what she got, and look at what God gave me. And how can we go out and bless people with what God's given me? That's really the solution. Instead of comparing and thinking, oh, like, that's not fair, they should get less. Yeah, it's not fair. God is generous. Thank goodness, because if God was only fair, man, I'd be in a lot of trouble, right? And so understanding God's generosity and then joining with him in it, that's what he wants. The Bible teaches it's better to give than receive. And if you think about it and reflect on your experiences, I think you'll find it's true, right? You're happier in the times you've given than when you've received. Okay. So why does this work? Jesus and the gospel, they're about what works right now. So generosity, it leads overall to a better life now versus trying to make everyone earn things, payback, jealousy, comparing, right? You've tried that probably. It doesn't feel very good. So what's the solution? The solution really is generosity, pairing with God, saying, hey, God, you've given me my life, right? My time, my money. How can I do that to bless people? What can I do to bless people? How can I look for ways to be generous today with my wife and my kids, with my time, with my love, with my money? The love that God has for me, how can I feel that and give it to other people? How does God want to partner with you to spend his time and love and money? And let's do it. Let's go forward and do it. So, and if you want to join with us in our program to improve all your relationships with God, with your wife, with your kids, visit strongmen.io, fill out an application. Let's talk. Let's talk about some options and what would be a good fit to come join us in building great relationships for the rest of your life. All right, so visit strongmen.io, come join us and stay strong in God, men. We'll see you next episode.